You're good.
We're going to be doing Forcible entry today. We've got a couple of recruits that have been doing Forcible entry for about 8 hours. We're going to see how they do on these new doors that we just ordered. And good luck.
We're going to talk about the anatomy of the Halligan for a minute. We've got a few different ends on this. First off, we have our adze, we have our spike or our pick, and then we have our forks. Also on the forks, we have the crotch and we have the shoulders. Keep in mind on this that we have different striking surfaces. We can strike here on this end, we can strike here if we want to drive in the spike, and we can also strike on the shoulders. If we're in a low visibility setting, we can come in and put a striking tool across the bar and then drive into the shoulders if need be. Another piece on this is the bevel. The bevel is the outside curve on our forks here, and part of being a real practitioner of this is understanding which direction we want this bevel to face. Do we want it against the door or do we want it against the frame? All this comes back to how big of a gap do we create in our second step of our forcible entry. When we're looking at our adze end, some of the things on this with mechanical advantage that come into play are the width of our adze versus the length of our adze. So we have a 30-inch pro bar. That's the majority of our Fort Worth Halligans. When we pry against this 2-inch surface of the adze, we give ourselves a 15-to-1 mechanical advantage. But when we orient the tool a different direction and we pry against the long side of this is a 6-inch length, now we've turned this bar into a 5-to-1 lever. And there's a time and a place for both, and we have to understand the difference. So when we go in and we want to gap our door and we place this in here, the best motion to do right now that does the most damage is to pry up against the spike or away from the spike, and we're getting a 30-inch bar against a 2-inch surface and giving us 15-to-1. Once we've done all the damage we can with this, with that short side of the adze, now we can come across the bar, and now we're getting 6 inches, which is far more than most deadbolts, and we'll have our 5-to-1 mechanical advantage at that point. Understanding those little differences will make you successful in your forcible entry.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Winging it.
Is it? No.
All right, when we're actually having to hit these tools and drive our tools in, we want to make sure we're using the common terminology so that we're all doing this safely. Some things on a safety standpoint: when you're running the Halligan, you're the ones calling the hits, you're the one in charge of this. We want to make sure that they have control over this bar and don't want to move it around so we don't have any strikes that go astray. So they're the one in charge. One other thing is, you can see here the hand that's on the outside here, closest to the end, we want an underhand grip. This keeps the elbow in tight. If she grabs the Halligan the incorrect way, go with an overhand grip, it puts your elbow out here in the striking area, and we want to avoid that. So underhand grip keeps this safer. So when we want to actually hit on here, we want to make sure that we come in and we cross our tools. We go perpendicular. So you'll come over and drop down and actually hit perpendicular, so if you do, no one gets injured. If we come in standing up and I start swinging real hard, if I miss, now I have a chance of injuring somebody, so we want to avoid that if we can. So our partner here is going to come back and get into a position to hit. So what we're going to talk about on terminology is if we're going to have one single hit, we want to use the word hit. And that means one strong hit with the tool, and then you wait to be told to hit again, because we may want to move that bar around a little bit. Once the tool is in a position where it's solid and in place and you want a continuous strikes, we're going to say drive. That's our terminology. Hit, single hit, drive, continuous until you reach full depth of the tool there. So go ahead and call it.
Ready? Hit. 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 Drive.
When you're ready for them to stop swinging, yell stop nice and loud so everybody can hear, and that means the striking should stop, the tool should be set, and then you'll be ready to force the door. Okay, remember to capture progress there. Action. Or Do I say that or do you?
I think you do. I don't know.
All right, guys, we're going to talk today about forcible entry on an inward swinging door. Some of the first thing we want to do is a size up of that door. We also want to check the door for heat and see if there's anything behind it. When we're sizing up the door, what we're doing is trying the door. We're trying to make sure it is locked, so we're trying before we pry. Then we're sizing it up to see what side the hinges are on and what type of locks we might be encountering. Once we've established the door is locked, the next thing we want to do is we want to shock the door. And when we're shocking the door, we're hitting 3 solid strikes. We're wanting to see where the locks are, and we also want to weaken the door a little bit if possible. So we know from the shock that we had solid contact there right in the middle, so we can assume that we've got some good lock points right in the middle. So our next step in this is we want to create a gap. When we gap a inward swinging door, we want to work on the adze end of the tool. We put the adze in between the door and the jamb, and we place it in, and then we use the Halligan in a motion that has the most leverage, the most power. It's prying against the short side of the adze using our 30-inch bar, and it gives us a 15-to-1 mechanical advantage. In this case, we want to go up because we want to pry away from the spike, so we'll go up and gap our door. Okay, once we have that gap created, we want to make sure we capture progress. We don't want to give anything back to the door. Keep in mind, if we're doing this in a fire atmosphere, we're going to have high pressure gases and heat trying to push that door back closed on us. So your partner can come in, set a wedge or your axe inside there to make sure we don't give anything back to the door. Once we have a good gap and the progress is captured, now we can switch and we can place our forks into that gap. If we make a large gap like these guys did here, we can put the Halligan in with the forks in and the bevel side, the outside curve against the door, and this is going to give us our most leverage and our most range of motion with this tool. This is going to be a strong push toward the door, applying all the force we can against that lock, trying to bust it into the structure. Once we've got to that point, again, our axe is still there. We're capturing progress. We can switch now to our adze end. We can put our adze in there behind the frame of the door, and this will be a good way to finish this door off and complete our forcible entry. Okay, once the door is open, we want to push it open. We want to sweep just inside the door, looking for any victims that we may have. And then pull the door back closed, because door control is a really big piece of this. We want to make sure that we have the door forced. We're not letting pressure into the fire until we have a hose line that's ready.